Hi there, my name is Toby and this is Body Efficiency Training. On this channel I talk all about body dynamics and chi energy, the mysterious life force energy. And the most important factor in achieving more efficiency in our body is this, it's just standing up straight. If we could all learn how to stand up straight correctly, everything would get better in our life. Our confidence would improve, our energy flow would improve, our blood flow and our lymphatic system flow would improve just by standing up straight here, like this, is the natural neutral spine. You see the shoulders and the rib cage are lifted up a little bit and pulled a little bit back. The belly is pulled in tight. I'm squeezing the glutes, pushing the hips a little bit forward, but I've still got a slight backwards arch in the lumbar. So I'm not leaning too far back because I'm pulling the belly in to hold it. And you can see it's a nice straight line from the crown of the head down to the sacrum, and it's ever so comfortable. And once you've got the feeling of this and how efficient that is, then you can try bending your legs into a horse riding stance like this, and this I call the upright neutral stance, and this is the most important structure on this whole channel. And if you can find this structure, it's very efficient. You can move easily in all directions from here because the neutral spine is the midpoint of movement. Your spine is the midpoint of moving your body, and this neutral spine is the midpoint of your spine, so it makes sense to try and maintain this. You see, and once you've got this, you can have one foot forward, and this is now becoming more like martial arts. But you see, as I shift my weight between the hips, I'm still trying to maintain this slight backwards arch, this neutral spine. It allows me to go up and down, twist forward and back very easily. And when I go up and down, I use the hips and not the spine. Now here in martial arts, in particular traditional martial arts, Tai Chi, Wing Chun and other internal styles, they'll tuck the pelvis under like this. You see what I'm doing here is squeezing the glutes and tucking the pelvis under. Here I'm arching back, so here I've got a backwards arch in the spine, and if I squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis under, stretch forward, you can see the lumbar spine stretches out. Now they do this to build us forward strength. This builds a bit of strength in the forward direction to your arms. You can see here arching back and now tucking the pelvis under, trying to push forward. Now, and again, it creates a forward force, but the problem is it locks up your spine. You're stretching out your spine when you do this. The lumbar spine is getting stretched out as you tuck the pelvis under. And if you try and do this and hold it as you go up and down, you see here tucked under, you can see the spine, and as I try and go down, you hunch more and more forward. This is a big problem. You see, if you try and go down lower, keeping the pelvis tucked under, all that happens is your spine hunches. So you're stretching the spine out more and more. And if you try and twist like this, again, I've already stretched out my spine, and now I try and twist it, it's quite difficult, and it's risky. You've extended out the lumbar spine, and then you twist it, there's a danger. Now here you can see with a neutral spine, I can twist left and right and go up and down quite easily because I am not changing the neutral position of the spine. I'm not hyperextending my lumbar. I'm creating the movement from the hip joint. The lower down I go, the more I project the hips backwards. So I allow the hips to move, not the spine. Now here I can still create a strong force in a forward direction with a neutral spine. I'm still squeezing the glutes, but at the same time I'm pulling the belly in, holding the shoulders up and back and twisting a little bit. So I'm creating a strength through the spine. It's still neutral, it's still backwards arch, but a slight twist. And the power comes again still from squeezing the glutes, like those internal martial arts style we'll talk about, but I'm also pulling the belly in and squeezing the belly and the obliques. So the power through the spine comes through a slight twist, but not a hunch. And you see, trying to keep that, I'm just moving about now, playing around, slight movements, just so you can start to see some martial arts moves. Nothing serious, but you can see how the neutral spine is always there. I'm trying to just maintain this exact neutral spine position. I go up and down from the hips, and I twist again from the hips, from the shoulders, but maintaining a neutral spine. And I always spring back to this neutral spine. It's the most efficient position for movement, but it is also the most efficient position for power, for structure in your spine. So you can still create a forward power by squeezing the glutes, but you pull the belly in. Now here, and the next thing is lifting the leg up. See, people will lift the leg up to kick, but again, the hips tuck under. You see the pelvis tucks under, you hunch a little bit forward. So this is already hyperextending your spine when you lift the leg up. Now here, I'm arching back. I lift the leg up by pulling the hip backwards. It's totally different. Very, very subtle, but very, very different. I'm concentrating on, see now here, tucking under. You can see the pelvis goes under. It makes you hunch forward. Here I pull the hip back. I'm concentrating on trying to pull the leg backwards in the socket. This activates the psoas muscle, but it also keeps the neutral spine, and you're using the tendons in your hip to lift the leg up. It's not so much lifting there, curling under. So there's the difference, curling under. You see how I hunch up to lift the leg up? It's not so efficient. And here, pull the hip back. So the backwards lever. I'm still trying to keep a backwards arch in the spine to lift the leg up. Now the power to hold the leg up now comes from the back of the hips. It comes from the psoas muscle. I'm not using the thigh. It's much easier to lift your leg up in the air by doing this. I'm maintaining it closer to a neutral spine, so I might have to hunch a little bit depending on my flexibility, but the idea of keeping this neutral spine is far more efficient and far easier once you get the hang of it. And here you can see with the neutral spine pulling the hip back, the legs come up even with a turning kick. Here I'm turning the leg slightly, but as I turn the leg I'm still pulling the hip backwards. Here I'm pulling the hip forward, tucking the pelvis under, there pulling it back. So look at the difference. Here tucking the pelvis under makes me hunch up to lift the leg. Now pulling the hip back, you see, pull the hip back to bend the leg. It's like a concertina. I'm folding my leg up, the hip goes backwards, and this action, this force of trying to pull the hip backwards helps the leg to go up. It's using the psoas muscle and the tendons in the hip. And here you can see with the side kick, you see pull the hip back to bend the leg and push the hip forward to straighten the leg. I'm using the hip joint to create motion in the leg, not the spine. I'm trying to maintain this neutral spine. Okay, I hope this made sense, and remember the most important thing in this whole training is just learning how to stand up straight, nice and straight with a neutral spine. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in one of these other videos here.